Okay, I'm back. Hopefully the setup is a little bit better. I had a weird connection on my end. So go ahead and give me a comment or a thumbs up. Just let me know once you get in here. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully some people will kind of pop in as we get going. So for the next month, what I'm going to be doing is on weekdays, I'm going to walk you guys through how I get my journal set up for the new year, and I'll show you how I do my goal setting and specific headers, and I'm just going to go through the process of actually creating and setting up a journal for the new year, and you guys are going to walk you through that process, so you'll get to see kind of how I do it. You'll get to ask questions along the way. So let's get started. So I have here, I'm going to turn this so that you guys can kind of see what I'm doing with my hands. So I've got here, these are my old journals, and so I'm going to go through them and I'm going to mark the types of pages that I actually want to keep. So sometimes when I move to a new journal, I don't necessarily take everything with me. This is the journal I'm working in right now, and I'll kind of show you guys what my setup looks like. And then I'm going to go through the process of deciding which journal I want to use next for, hi Alicia! I'm going to go through the process of, how I pick the next notebook that I'm going to get into. So this is the journal that I'm working in right now, which is a Rhodia, and I've been really happy with it because the paper quality is really good, and this is what I use for my daily journaling. So where I'm at right now, it's November, and this is where I am in my index. Ooh, I'll hold that up so you guys can see it. So this is where I am right now. I am about halfway through this journal. I'm anticipating that I will finish it by the end of the new year. So I'm going to go ahead and start my 2018 journal now, at least the setup, because last year I sort of started it in a rush and I didn't have time to do all the goal setting that I wanted to do. So this year I'm going to start it early and I'm going to make it with you guys. So each day we'll be making a new page or a new point in the process of getting a new journal set up. So I'm going to set aside the journal that I have right now, and I'm just going to walk you guys through my different options that I have. I have a whole pile of journals that I can choose from, and I'm going to go through each one with you, and we'll see which one we pick, okay? So you can see I've got a lot of different types of options here. So someone's finger is stuck on the reactions. Okay, thanks, Alicia. So I've got a lot of different options here. I've got regular plain bound journals, and then I have some different types of bindings that you can choose from, and depending on what type of journaling you're wanting to do throughout the year, you may want to choose a different option. So for my 2018 journal, I'm actually going to set up a journal that is more or less a bullet journal style. If you're familiar with bullet journaling, or if you're not familiar with bullet journaling, you can learn more about the actual process of that brand of structuring a journal at bulletjournal.com. So just to be clear, bullet journal is not a generic term. It's actually a brand that has their own system and their own productivity ways of doing things. So I'm more or less going to follow that system this year in my journal. I do mix a lot of different types, but that's what I'm going to focus on today. So the first option that I have here is just a plain black notebook. This one is by Clairefontaine, which has wonderful paper, and that's a good option. And this one's very basic. This is from their Clairefontaine, I think it's called Essentials. Yeah, Clairefontaine Essential Collection. And this one actually has grid lines. So I like grid lines because you can actually use them to align things vertically in your journal as well as horizontally. So it helps when you're making charts or habit trackers or anything that really has any, that's going to need to be in a chart format. So that's a really good option. This one has a paper cover, which I'm maybe not as crazy about. So, because I tend to carry my journals everywhere with me, and so this one may not hold up quite as well as I'm hoping. So I'm going to set this one aside. The next option is by Leuchtturm, and this is actually their official bullet journal edition. So it has some description in it if you want to follow the bullet journal system specifically. And this color is emerald, which this is a really good option, but I've used Leuchtturm in the past and I really like it. I have nothing against it. The paper's a little bit thin, so you get a lot of ghosting with it. So, but this is a really good option. And I did see from Bullet Journal today, they're coming out with a new color. I don't know what the color is yet because I haven't had a chance to read the email yet, but they did send out an email that there's a new color. So, and then you've got some other options. If you're on a budget, then a regular composition book is a really good option. I managed to find some with grid lines, which I was really excited about. So this is a really good option. It's a little bit bigger, and if you like to write things out longhand, this is a good option for you because it's more comfortable than this size, which is an A5. So this size would be considered a B5, which is a composition size, and this size is an A5. So that's a really good option. So you may have heard of traveler systems, and these are more for people who don't want to keep an index per se. So you can actually separate out, like these are 3 separate booklets inside this notebook. And you can see that I could separate this out very easily into my schedule, my notes, my memories, or my collections, however you want to do it. But I find with this notebook, an index tends to be almost cumbersome because you would have to index each booklet, or as you take booklets out or move them back in, it tends to be kind of, it's just not ideal for indexing. So if you don't want to keep an index, then by all means, this may be for you. And they come in different sizes. This is one that I ordered from Etsy, which I love because it's in Rifle Paper Company fabric. And I just put some field notes in there. And this is more for like my travel notes and things like that, which is what I use it for. But anyhow, so that's a good option. If you just want to do some daily journaling, like you just want to jot down some thoughts each day, then you may want something that's a little bit more structured and not as, it doesn't have as much blank space. Just because something like this one's by Leuchtturm, and it is some lines a day, and it's a 5-year memory book. A lot of different companies make these 5-year memory books or 6-year memory books, but this one's kind of neat because I like this structure of journals, because if you go here, so this is my January 1st page, which I haven't started this notebook yet. I'm starting this on January 1st. But so this is January 1st, and then you just write in the year, and then you'll have that same day 5 years, and you'll have each day's thoughts kind of stacked, which is I think that's a really neat way to preserve just the most important things that happened that day. So you're not going to use something like this probably for scheduling as much, but it just doesn't give you the type of space that you need. But if you just want to jot down a few thoughts for the day and you're interested in journaling that way, I think this is a really cool option. And I'm looking forward to starting it in January it's just a good place to start. So, okay, my next 2 options, this is just a plain leather bound journal, and it's got blank pages. This I'm saving for an art journal because this was a gift from my husband years ago, and I never found a project that I wanted to use it for, but it's got this really nice thick paper, and I think that this is best suited for a sketchbook or an art journal. You certainly could use it for your daily scheduling, but it's just kind of, it's pretty big, so I don't know if you'd want to tote this guy around. But you can find journals like this, these leather-bound journals, on Amazon. I think this one is actually a vegan substitute. It feels like a vegan substitute. But anyhow, these are kind of fun. If you want something a little more structured, or if you like being able to remove your pages and move from journal to journal, then Hooray, this is Hooray for today. That's not the brand. The brand is... oh my gosh, it's the Happy Planner. Thank you. Okay, the Happy Planner. And these come out tabbed. They're more like a traditional planner, but I like these because the disc-bound binding, you can buy a disc-bound punch, and then you can add your own paper so that you can have however many notes you need, and you sort of end up being able to create your own system. So this is kind of a neat option, and I have used them in the past, but I just find that I personally prefer just a regular bound notebook where the pages don't move. But that's a really cool option. I think teachers really like these a lot because they can move lesson plans and things like that around. And it also gives them a lot of space for their scheduling. So that's kind of a cool option. So the one that I'm going to pick, though, and I'll show you, this is the one that I sort of had set aside ahead of time. And this one is by a brand called Scribbles That Matter. And it's very popular in the journaling community, and people who use just a regular blank notebook for their scheduling have really glommed onto this brand pretty quickly. And this is the first time I'm going to be using it, so I'm excited to try it out. But it's very, very much like the Leuchtturm, which was kind of the leader in the journaling community for a long time. It still may be. People love their Leuchtturms. I do too. But the thing I like about this one is it's an A5 dotted journal. It's got room for an index and a key, which if you follow the bullet journal system specifically, those are pretty important. Those are important parts of the system. And you can use these with, you can use these types, you know, you can use a notebook with an index is applicable for a lot of different situations. But if you are going to follow the bullet journal system, then that's a pretty important thing to have. But the thing I like about this notebook that's a little bit different is that the paper is actually very thick and the pages are numbered already, so you don't have to go through the hassle. They've got a pocket in the back and it's got a little pen holder, which was kind of a nice bonus. I don't typically use a pen holder, but that's kind of neat. So, oh, you're welcome, Heather. Yeah, I think that's, especially like if you're a busy mom, which I happen to know that Heather is, it's a really neat way just to kind of jot something down really quickly in those 5-year notebooks. These 5-year notebooks are great for doing that really quickly. So, okay, so I've already selected my notebook. I'm going to get started getting it kind of laid out, and I'll show you for today, all I'm going to show you guys is just sort of how I get things prepped before I even write a word. So it's really tempting when you're going to start a new journal just to kind of dive in and start writing. But I find that if you take a few minutes just to get things organized ahead of time, then your whole system later on is going to flow much easier and you're going to be more likely to stick with your journal. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open to my first blank page and I'm going to go through my old journal, and I might actually go through my old stack of journals because I had some pages that didn't quite make it over to this journal, and I may want those in my next 2018 journal. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look through my index and anything that is, so I'm going to grab a pen, and this is just a regular like Sharpie pen. This is one of the thicker ones. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to annotate anything that's on there that needs to end up in the new journal. So I know that my birthday and holiday schedule is going to need to end up on there, and I'll show you what that guy looks like. So it's right there. So this is how I'm organizing my birthdays and holidays, is I just have a month and then I go through and I write whoever's birthday is there and then the holiday, and that's for the whole year. So I know that those are going to make it over. And another way that you can do this if you don't want to go through your index is you can just mark them with a Post-it as you're flipping through the journal, and the days that you like that you need to keep, then those are the ones that you'll keep. Like this is a list that I've had going in the last few journals, and I really like it because it's just a list of words. So then that's what you'll do. You'll go through your old journals and you'll mark them like that. If you don't have an old journal, then it's that much easier for you to start a new journal because all you have to do is decide how you want it to go. So so basically what I do first thing is I kind of flip through the notebook and I see how I want it to be laid out. So this one already has a key kind of set up in it, so I'll probably end up using that. This first page, I'm going to save it for a year at a glance calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And the only reason I'm doing that now is that I want to make sure as I flip through it that my plan makes sense to me, that the flow is there. And so I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to say, okay, so I know that I want a year at the glance calendar here. On this page, I might do some kind of art. I like having a nice little doodle art in the beginning of my journal. In this one, my old one, I did, not my old one, my current one, I did a little art here. So this is basically the setup that I'm going to copy into this new journal. Is I'm going to actually create a 2018 calendar here, and then I might just do some kind of artwork here, just some kind of fun doodle, which for me is just a nice way to ease into the journal and kind of set the tone for how things are going to go. And then if I've been happy with the flow of how things work in this journal, then I might go ahead and stick with it. But in this, the Rodea actually had a pre-printed future planning area, which I really liked, but I wasn't totally crazy about where it fell in the journal. So for this one, I'm actually going to be able to rearrange that. So I think I'll do my year at a glance calendar, and then I'll go straight into my future planning pages, which are the pages where I'm going to put my appointments if they're not on my current monthly page. So this will all kind of make sense as we go through it a little bit more. But so this will be my future planning. The way I do my future planning is that I have 4 months per 2-page spread. So I'll have 1, 2, so that's going to be 4 months worth, and then I'll have another 4 months on the next 2 pages, and then I'll have another 4 months on the next 2 pages. So these first 3 2-page spreads are going to be devoted to just future planning, and that's just what works for me. Some people can fit it all on 2 pages. Some people like something very simple, like they just like an area to drop appointments. I actually like having a dated list of, and I'll show you a better example from one of my old ones. This is my favorite way of doing it. I actually like having a dated list like this, so I actually have each day of the month already copied out in my journal so that I can look at it in the future. So so that's how I do it. So basically for today, that's all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go through my notebook, and I'm going to like put Post-its on the pages where I want them to flow, and get it all laid out. So then tomorrow when we come back, I'll show you where all my Post-its landed, and I'll show you how that flow works, and then we'll go into copying out that very first page, and I'll show you how I do how I kind of arrange the columns, and how I count out to make sure that everything is lined up the way that I want it lined up. So that's pretty much it for today, unless anybody has any questions. If you do have any questions, please put them down below, and I'll answer all the questions. I am going to put these up on the website, so if you have any questions about the materials that I used, you can look there. I'll actually have a section in the website for each of these videos, and you guys can refer back to it. And that way, if you ever miss one of these, then you can check the website and you'll be able to watch it if you weren't able to make it to the live session. But that's it. So I'll see you guys back here tomorrow, and we'll go through getting started with your very first page, and I'll give you some tricks for kind of getting over that first page jitter. So go out, pick your notebook, and then I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.